Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're just going to chat just a little bit. Here comes the vlog. Have a great one. I have gotten so much encouragement to just vlog today. Today let's spend a few minutes. Good morning. It's not morning, it's afternoon, but it's morning for me. Jim works overnights, so we sleep in. I stay up late and we sleep in. Those of you who know, get my videos posted at midnight. Little background, as you don't know, a lot of you have asked, what is wrong with me? 47, I beat the crap out of my body. I've always been overweight, but I've always been super active. I played softball on a league from the time I was 7 until I was 21, which is a lot of my injuries because my position was the catcher almost that whole time, and you do a lot of squats. Those of you who watch professional baseball, you know that's the thing that goes about catchers is their knees. I also played volleyball, and you do a lot of diving on your knees too. That's another thing. But I was in a marching band from the time I was 11 till I was 18 for my local church when I was growing up. And go Lamplighters, woo! They've since disbanded, but a lot of my friends are on Facebook where, we chat with each other once in a while. I think that, and I have type 2 diabetes, which I was diagnosed in 2010, but I'm pretty sure I had for 4 years before that. I don't want to say so busy taking care of my dad, because that's not the right thing to say, but my dad was sick in 2006, and I did focus a lot of my efforts into taking care of him. So I kind of let my health fall to the wayside a little bit. But when I first was diagnosed, they told me like the symptoms that I had had for 4 years were from being diabetic. So unfortunately, I think it went untreated for 4 years. I'd eat a meal and take a nap, and I always just assumed it was because I was exhausted, because I was working a full-time job, taking care of my dad, taking care of the house. You nap. So we are also in that stage of life where either menopause or perimenopause. I don't know if this makes anybody uncomfortable, but it's me, and I'm going to tell you. My body, and when my hormones go, like when it's going to be that time of the month, it lays me out. So I also have, it's another thing. I was officially diagnosed when I was like 6 with an allergic nose, whatever that was when I was 6. But I'm pretty much allergic to a lot of inhalant. So, but my big trigger is leaf mold. So I used to get what I call my biannual sinus infection. Hold on, I think that's it. I think I vlogged for 3 minutes is all I can hold you. You're going on the monopod because I can hold my arm down. That's better. Yeah, because I can hold my arm down here, and that's better. Okay. Where was I? Right there. Okay. Oh, hi. Okay. That's not right. Was I, like, angly? I don't know. Was I angly? All right. How's that? That's better. Okay, so, sorry about that. So I used to get what I called my biannual sinus infection, and it was regular. I do still get it from time to time, but it's not as regular as it was. I now have found Nasocort, non-sponsored, but I love it. It was prescribed to me back in 2006, 4, 5, around there somewhere. Then my insurance stopped covering it. It was the first time, actually it was 2005, because Jim had gone to Yellowstone to work for the summer. And I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. But then I was prescribed this Nasocort, and I no longer have sleep apnea with it. Or I didn't. because it was my sinuses that was causing the sleep apnea, not my tongue. I'm a stomach sleeper, so I was kind of like, how is this happening? It's not my airway being blocked from the weight. It was my allergies. So I love nasal cord. It's like my favorite gift from God. I can sleep better. I can breathe better. It's great. But it does still get from me from time to time. I also take a pill form of allergy medication. So with the 2 allergy medications, to still have allergy attacks, it's kind of like you can imagine. But that's me. I have arthritis. In 2011, I was dancing at a Third Day concert, and they finally came to New York City, which I was super excited when I lived on Long Island. I'm sorry. They finally came to New York City, which I was super excited because I had driven upstate to see them a few times. Upstate New York, excuse me. So we went to the concert, and we were financially challenged at the time. And because most Christian rock bands, usually their tickets are pretty reasonable, we were able to do like a standing room only. We scraped up our pennies and treated each other for our birthdays, that kind of thing. And so I was dancing, and then the next day, I was still on adrenaline when I left the concert, and the next day I woke up and I was like, oh, my knee hurts. But like I said, my knees have always hurt, not only from playing bowl, but when I first worked for AHRC in 1993, I slipped on the ice. But as a 23-year-old, I didn't know, fill out an accident report, that kind of thing. So I just let it go, and I didn't go to the doctor and take care of it either. So it just was pain, you know. I was young, I didn't care. Like I said, I beat up my body. So it was just hurting, but it was really weird because it was my good knee, like, you know, if you have a bad knee and a good knee. It was my right knee, which usually my right knee was never the cause of the pain. The pain has always come from the left one. So I went to work, and, you know, no big deal. Just took some Advil and went to work, and the next day the pain level was worse, and Advil wasn't helping, and I was able, you know, taking the Advil every 4 hours and stuff, and it still wasn't helping. So then I tried, you know, the rice method, rest, ice, you know, compression, elevation, that kind of thing. And it really was very temporary relief. I kind of felt at the first couple of days that the more I moved it, the better it felt, because I would just, like, as long as it didn't settle in one spot, I felt good. But come day 3, it was the complete opposite. It was like every time I moved, it was like, argh. So I ended up leaving work on Saturday morning. I ended up taking off Saturday morning, and I went home. And by Monday, I couldn't bear weight on it at all. So took my first ambulance ride where I was the patient, to my first emergency room visit, to my first hospital stay, became my first surgery, and all that stuff. So what I ended up having was in the emergency room, they were sure that it was just arthritis. They x-rayed it, and they saw all the arthritis, and they were so sure, but they drew the fluid just to check if the fluid wasn't infected or anything. Sorry about that. And turns out it was. The surgeon, thank goodness, was proactive and said, no matter what, tomorrow morning we're going to go in and we're going to clean it out. You know, we'll get the fluid tested, but I don't want you to be in pain this long. So they went in and they went arthroscopically, and I was awake, which was wild. So they went in and they cleaned up all of the edges of the meniscus was torn. They cleaned up the edges, and then they cleaned out some of the arthritis. And that was Tuesday, and Thursday I was set to go home, and Thursday morning the physician's assistant for the surgeon came in and said, we got the test results back from your the liquid from your knee, and then they said it's a staph infection. So the only thing I could think of is that there was some, you know, sometimes when you travel you pick up staph bacteria, and I had just the week before I'd come back from visiting, taking Jim to Texas for his 40th birthday. So that was the only thing. If it was in me still, I mean, nobody at work had any, you know, staph infections, nobody around the hospital. But this was in me before I got to the hospital, so it's not like the hospital gave me a staph infection. So then that changed plans for me just going home and having physical therapy. That changed plans. I got a PICC line in my arm, a little scar. And a PICC line, for those of you who don't know, is an intravenous, a line that goes directly to your heart, where basically this one went in my upper arm, and they, with a sonogram, she guided the IV directly so that the medicine would go straight to my heart, and they were trying to prevent endocarditis, which is when you get an infection in your heart. They were afraid that the staph bacteria would end up camping out there, which would have been really bad. So my infectious disease doctor, along with my surgeon, they sent me home and put me on a limited physical therapy. The physical therapist described it as, it's like scratching a rash. If they give me high stims physical therapy, then it would be like scratching a rash. And they were afraid that they would spread the bacteria throughout my body if they did that. So what would normally have been maybe like an 8 or 10 week physical therapy session turned into 14 weeks, 12. It was almost 14 weeks of physical therapy. It was 14 weeks of antibiotic. I was on the PICC line for 14 weeks. And I was really looking forward to getting off. Because it's hard to, I mean, you learn quickly how to sleep with an IV coming out of your arm, but it was my most comfortable situation. And then, you know, changing the bags, changing the batteries, making sure you don't miss a dose, that kind of stuff. So I was happy to be done with it. I was able to drive surprisingly soon. The motion of this with my foot after my knee surgery was okay with the physical therapist. After I think a week, Jim drove me physical therapy for a week, but then after that, and I was glad because it was much easier, believe it or not, it was much easier to get in the car and on the driver's side. To put my bad leg in first and push my body in with the good leg was much easier than getting in on the passenger side when I tried to like maneuver and pick up, and it was a hot mess. But so that's my medical history. Jim and I, for those of you who don't know, have never been blessed with children. I have, from being overweight, I have issues, but he also, we believe also that he has issues, because once I was on medication to fix it, some other issues arise. But we just look at it as like it was not God's plan for us. I joke all the time about like I have to finish raising him, you know. But we've gotten through. We've had lots of rough times. I mean, he is a blessing. He is my soulmate. It's just that we've gone through some rough patches too. I don't want you to think it's all rainbows and sunshines over at the Henson's house 24/7. But we get through our faith and our love for each other. We do. We make it through. And then when we moved here in 2013, I was not able to find a job, which was so weird because I was the money maker. I was the supporter of the family forever. For as long as I knew him, for as long as we were together. But even my family, my dad was forced retirement in 1998. I went to work and got extra jobs and stuff so I could support the house and stuff. So it was a very uneasy, unsettling sort of situation. But that's what we did. I did, came here. We came to live with Mom. We looked into she looked into buying a bigger house because she was renting something small at the time. And we found this place. It was like perfect. It was like one of those 2 days on the market things. And when we came here, it was just so much spoke to me. The position, the layout, just everything. It was just, I loved it. And like I was saying yesterday, it's not all like neat and clean. Like there's crafts that are half done and that need to be hung up, and mail and bills that I have to take care of. But I try to keep, this to me was always unorganized. I like to keep it clean. When we were growing up, we were a lot of people in a very small house, and my mom gave us each like chores, and mine was cleaning the bathroom. And I remember from when I was very little, she said, just make sure that, not just, she said, make sure the toilet's clean, because if people come in and your house is a mess, but your toilet's clean, they'll think that you're just unorganized and not a slob, which really rang true for the rest of my life. I'm sort of obsessed with having a clean toilet, which is a funny story because as I got older, the last year or so, I really like always clean my toilet. And I was on the phone with Sharon, and I went to go change the handle on the toilet handle. And so I was facing backwards, and I had my readers on because I was looking, you know, little instructions and little screws and stuff. And I was like, wait, I just cleaned this toilet. It looks so dirty. I learned at that moment that I need to start wearing glasses when I clean, because what it looks like it might be clean without your glasses is not always necessarily clean with your glasses. Tip to you guys. But so that's changed. But as far as keeping the house clean and stuff, I clean when it's dirty. I know that sounds silly, but I try to pick it up if I drop it. I try to wipe it off if I spill it. And this way I don't have to do like a huge cleaning all the time. I do have my table, which is always a mess. I will show you guys. This is my side table. This is usually the spot where I sit all the time. And some days it's hard to get off the couch, but here is my full garbage because I didn't take my garbage out yet. But there's my big cup of water that I always drink, my surge protector, my iPad. I've got cough drops, and I've got Advil and a nail kit and Tums. I've got a plastic fork. I keep some there because sometimes I just can't get up to eat. I got the remote controls and lighting and extra glasses and everything I could possibly need to not have to get off the couch, because sometimes I can't get off the couch. I'm at that age too where if I don't get off the couch soon enough when I have to pee, I have to mop my bathroom floor. But you know, TMI, Jer. But sometimes it's really difficult to get off the couch. I did in New York get my dad like a lift chair, and when I had my knee surgery, I was in the lift chair, which was like a blessing. But I kind of think like I don't want to do that, because getting up and off the couch is sometimes all of the exercise. I mean, you get exercise from like cleaning and cooking. But sometimes getting up and off the couch is the only time that I exercise certain muscles. So I don't want to stop doing that. It is difficult at times. Sometimes it's extremely difficult. Sometimes I'm like really hungry. This morning was one. I said this morning, I'm videotaping this at I started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I haven't eaten yet. I got up at 1. I actually got up at, those of you who know, I got up at, when Jim went to bed at 5:45, and I was up until about 9:30, I think, before I fell back to sleep. So I don't usually sleep till 1. I usually only sleep till like 11. But this morning was just one of those days where I just couldn't get out of bed, you know. So I drink, first thing in the morning, I drink 24 ounces of water. I know it sounds silly. It was this Japanese water thing that I read, and it's really been working for me. It does two things. First of all, it teaches me discipline. It has discipline, patience. I make sure I get at least 3 glasses of water, cups of water in a day, which I do drink way more than that. But no matter what's happening throughout my day, I get at least those ounces of water. And what it's supposed to do is to detoxify the overnight nonsense. But what it has done for me is it helps me like wake up. It helps my digestive system. It's room temperature water. I put it in a cup at night next to my bedside, and I wake up and drink it first thing. I do, and then I don't take medicine or brush. You brush your teeth, but you spit it in the sink. You don't, make sure you don't swallow any of the toothpaste. But I do all that, and then after the 45 minutes is up, which is we're supposed to wait 45 minutes before you do any eating or whatever. Usually get up and make myself breakfast, but depending on the day. If Jim's working early and I'm gonna make like brunch for us, or lunch or dinner or supper, then I'll wait. But there's days where I just like I'm too tired to pull out the frying pan and scramble an egg, or sunny side up an egg, and I just microwave them. And I keep, when I make pancakes, I make extras and I keep them in the freezer. When I make waffles, I make extra and I keep them in the freezer, that kind of thing. So then I can just microwave some eggs and maybe some breakfast sausage and put some stuff in the toaster and just sit and eat. That's what today's going to be, because today is the day where not only was the family fending for themselves, which is what we call it when we have like 2 days a week maybe where we eat leftovers and stuff, but I don't have it in me today. So if you've been around since last night, I slept in my dress. I just couldn't. Sometimes you just can't put on pajamas. What are you gonna do? But I put this dress on right before I went to the Dollar General, so it's not even that old. Oh man. Well, this was fun, and I was hoping to talk to you shortly and then show you my morning routine, but since this ended up being a 20-minute conversation, I'm just gonna end it here. And then tomorrow, I will bring you out in the kitchen and I'll show you my morning routine and then how I clean up and stuff. But I do have more Halloween stuff to finish. I just got to the point where there's some things that I cannot do by myself. I need help, Jim's help with. And I've gotten to the point in 2 of them that are, my part is completely complete. I just need his help. Some of them just need 3 hands. Some of them are climbing on ladders, and I can't do that either. So just waiting for him to have a day where he has like a half an hour to spend helping me out. That the weather is good, because one of them is in outside. I have to do stuff outside and dry it. So we're waiting on that too. But that's it. I just had a suggestion. I'm not even done reading the comments from last night, but I had a suggestion about doing a Q&A. If you guys are new to vlogging, some vloggers do Q&As, which basically you ask me questions in the comments, and then things you want to know about me, and then I make a video, or Jim and I make a video, and we just sit and we just tell you, like, answer all your questions. If there's questions things I haven't told you yet. So if you want to do that today, we'll go ahead and ask you to, if you have any questions for a Q&A, leave them in the comment section. And if you appreciate that I'm vlogging for you today, I really appreciate doing it for you. Give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and join the family, and ring that bell, and YouTube will let you know when I upload a video every time. And as always, you take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.